How's it going, everybody? Adrian Simple here, and welcome back to the Gaming Observer for Thursday, July 30th. We do have quite a bit of news to talk about here today, but none of them are all that complicated. So there's going to be some more segments today than usual, but they'll be shorter. So let's see what's going on. Crystal Dynamics has just shared some more details about their upcoming Avengers game, notably the beta that they have coming up. This hit the headlines today because it looks like the beta is actually going to be pretty hefty. They've got more than 20 missions that you can play, either solo or in multiplayer. It's going to let you play as Iron Man, the Hulk, Black Widow, or Kamala Khan, otherwise known as Miss Marvel. And, the beta is going to do more than just missions. You can also do things like earn gear and XP. You can upgrade a portion of a given hero's skill tree. You really get a good sense of the game, hopefully. And so if you would like to get in on that, they're going to be doing 3 weekends of the beta. The first is August 7th for those of you who pre-ordered on PS4. The week after that for everybody else that pre-ordered on Xbox and PC. And then the week after that is for everyone, regardless of whether or not you purchase the game. So if you just want to try it out before you commit to it. I know people haven't been feeling the greatest about the game's marketing up to this point, but I do hope that things pick up with this beta. I really want it to succeed. Private Division, which is the publishing company under Take-Two, has just signed deals with a number of development studios. First of all is Moon Studios, who previously made the Ori games, Ori and the Blind Forest and the Will of the Wisps, and I'm very excited about that they have another project in the works. They've also got a deal with League of Geeks, who made the virtual board game Armello, and finally they're working with Roll7, who made the skateboarding games Ollie Ollie. So all 3 of those franchises and companies really, really good. And the games that they're making under Private Division don't yet have release dates. We don't know anything about them. In fact, the earliest one is going to be at 2022, potentially, which is pretty sad. Nonetheless, this is going to round out Private Division's portfolio, having basically just done Outer Worlds so far, with Kerbal Space Program 2 coming up. InXile Entertainment, developers of Wasteland 3 and The Bard's Tale 4, have just announced their newest game called Frostpoint, which is a VR shooter. It's a 10v10 virtual reality multiplayer game with both PvP and PvE elements, apparently. And InXile was acquired by Xbox a while back, so I'm surprised we haven't seen more marketing for it up to this point. It's been fairly low-key. And Xbox isn't even publishing it, which is also weird. Either way, that's going to be dropping later this year, with an open beta in September. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is going to be getting a free update on October 29th, so 3 months from now. This update is going to allow you to rematch previously defeated bosses, which is pretty interesting. I think that's a feature people have been asking for from Software games for a while, Dark Souls and whatnot. They're also introducing something called Gauntlets of Strength, which is quite literally single-life gauntlets of presumably boss fights. And this is rounded out by a new feature where you can make 30-second recordings of you playing the game, which will be displayed to other people in the game to help them through hard sections. And then if you get positive feedback on those videos, then the creator actually gets HP recovered for free. I don't know, I thought that was interesting. Throw in some cosmetics, and you got a pretty cool update. Also nice to see that Sekiro is getting updates in the first place. Sea of Thieves is also getting an update, except this one came today in something called Ashen Winds. All of the content is fire and ash themed, with 4 new bosses, a new flamethrower, which is pretty cool, and of course lots of cosmetics. There's also some accessibility and quality of life improvements in there, which is always good. And our final story for today, Frostpunk is going to be getting its 3rd and final expansion called On the Edge on August 20th, next month. This one takes place after the main game ends, and it establishes another outpost where it seems like you control 2 places at once, or at least that's what the idea is. Maybe it's just that in theme, but nonetheless. I actually just recently got into Frostpunk within the last few days. It is a tremendous game. If you've been considering it, I definitely give you my recommendation. It is not a traditional city builder survival game. I actually saw a comment on Reddit today that called it like a puzzle game with real-time mechanics, just because you have to figure out what you're supposed to do right. Anyway, it's a really good game. Go give it a look at least. 11-Bit Studios is a great team. Folks, that is going to wrap us up for today. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, I will be back with the news tomorrow. And until then, happy gaming, everyone. Hey, it's the After-Show. Welcome. Yeah, I feel really bad about everything that's going on with that Avengers game. When they first announced it, I feel like that's something that could have been so overwhelmingly popular, just like Endgame and Infinity War and all of those movies were. I think you have the real opportunity, especially with something like a video game, to explore Marvel and explore the Avengers. And they're doing that a little bit with Miss Marvel there, Kamala Khan. But ultimately, when they announced it, people were just like, eh. And then they talked even more about it, and they let people play the demo, and people were like, eh. And I don't know, I just feel like something that's so popular, it should be blowing people's socks off, you know? So I just really hope that people play the beta and love it, or they play the full game and they love it. Because, you know, Crystal Dynamics, they did Tomb Raider, and those were great games. They weren't perfect games, obviously there was a lot that could have been better. But ultimately, if we have the Avengers version of Tomb Raider, in spirit at least, I think that would be awesome. So I hope that that's what it is, or at least, you know, something better. And I'm even saying that as someone who's not a huge, like, superhero fan. It's funny, I didn't watch any of the Marvel movies when they came out. Endgame came out in theaters, and I hadn't seen a single, like, movie from that saga, or whatever it is. I think the only one I had seen was Iron Man when it first came out, and maybe the Hulk movie with Edward Norton. And then, like, here and there, like, I would be at a party and somebody would put on a Marvel movie that I had never seen and didn't understand what was going on. And then it wasn't until last summer, it was around this time last year, that I just decided to watch all of them. So I went from the first Iron Man movie to the last Spider-Man movie. I think that's everything in the timeline, if you will. And, I mean, yeah, I liked the movies. They were great. I had a great time going through them and seeing all the fun superhero stuff. And Endgame was an awesome time, but I'm not super invested in the franchise. And even then, I want it to do well. I want people to have a good time with it. Because it brings so much joy, you know? So many people get so excited and so passionate about what you can do with this stuff. I just hope that gets reflected in the end product. Anyway, folks, that's going to wrap us up for today. I didn't have too much to say. Oh, and before I go, I should say, things might be changing a little bit in the next few days or the next few weeks. I don't want to say too much at this current moment, but there's a bit of a life change happening, and that might impact what I'm doing here with this show. It shouldn't do too much in terms of the daily update and the after show, but maybe the weekend shows or the podcast, things like that. Just keep an ear out. Anyway, until next time, farewell.